sure a lot of you have seen it. It's going to be where you tie those branches down. Me personally, I'm a fan of tying the whole meristem down. Okay, what that does, and when I say tie it down, what do I mean? I mean that there's a bunch of different ways. I'm a fan of the binder clips. You guys have all remembered the little black ones. They come in different shapes and sizes. Well, when you clip them onto a pot, they've got enough grip to hold on to and a little place for you to tie your string, pipe cleaner, whatever you do. What you don't want to do when you're doing LST techniques is you don't want to try to bend that meristem over when it's a rigid plant. What is a rigid plant? Guys, when autos are in a vegetative state and they're doing their veg thing, they're real pliable, they're real bendy. They're real bendy. Then they start to develop an outer layer and a bark and start to get a little more rigid. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but we won't get into it. So ideally you want to LST and low stress train your plant at that early stage and start doing it earlier. The earlier the better. Now you don't want to have ones to seedling with, no, not little bitty tiny plants, guys. But once they get, this big and to where when you bend them over, they reach the edge of your pot. That's kind of the rule that I always like to use, okay? And if everything's going right, you're going to have real bendy plants, and they're going to take that bend really well. And then as they grow, what you don't want to do is tie a string that's going to constrict that meristem or constrict that branch in any way, because that's going to cut into it. And these plants grow so fast, I've had it happen dozens of times, where it'll just cut into the I'll have 80 plants going, and then I'll have missed a string one place, and then it's literally like a picture of an old tree that you might see a wire sticking out of, or it's grown around. It's completely engulfed the string and can cut and restrict flow in the xylem and the phylum to get the nutrients to that bud site. So you want to make sure that you got a loose knot up on the top of the stem, tie it down to the edge of the pot, and that's going to give you a lateral bend, okay? What you're doing there is you are essentially taking that plant and flattening it out. So you've got the bud sites that all come up like this, okay? Well, when you just have a plant that grows like this, naturally this part of the plant is getting the most sunlight, and it's going to provide shade. It's going to have shade down here at the bottom of the other plants, and we know that we want light to all parts of the bud site so we can all get those nice fat nugs even at the bottom. You do this with canopy management techniques like low stress training by taking that stem and bending it down. And as these plants grow, they throw out shoots and stuff, so opening up the middle of that plant while it's in the vegetative state is always going to be the best, in my opinion, and my favorite technique, the one that I use the most when I do canopy management, and especially when I was growing a lot more for flower. So, using trellis netting